Disney's live-action Snow White has been getting absolutely destroyed, and this is what Rachel Zegler had to say about it.
And to everyone who hates when I win, the winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces, and people still line up to see her.
The lights were on, the posters were up. Rachel Zegler's name stretched across the marquee of the London Palladium in bold, glittering letters. Everything was in place for what should have been a defining moment in her career. After starring in Spielberg's West Side Story, landing a major role in the Hunger Games prequel, and becoming the controversial new face of Disney's Snow White, Zegler was supposed to be unstoppable. Now, she was stepping into the shoes of Eva Peron, a role that had made legends out of performers like Patti LuPone and Madonna. This wasn't some fringe production, this was Evita, staged at one of the most prestigious theaters in the world, a venue known for sold-out runs and roaring ovations. The industry was watching. Fans were waiting. It had all the makings of a career high. This was supposed to be her victory lap, a chance to prove that she wasn't just a Hollywood darling with a lucky break, but a true star, capable of commanding a stage on her own. Zegler had the accolades. She had the press. She had the role of a lifetime. But then, the ticket sales opened, and something strange happened. Nothing. Seats sat untouched. Entire rows remained unclaimed. Despite all the hype, despite the massive push behind her name, the numbers weren't just low, they were zero. Every single show in June had full availability. Verified screenshots of the ticketing site showed endless green dots, a sea of unsold seats that stretched from the front row to the back of the balcony. It didn't make sense, until it did. For all the industry's efforts to crown her the next big thing, the one thing that mattered most was missing: the audience. Weeks before opening night, the ticketing site painted a grim picture, a sea of green stretching across every performance. Rows and rows of empty seats blinked back from the screen, a color code that meant just one thing: unsold. And it wasn't just a slow Monday night or a couple of weak showings. It was every single date. Matinees, evening shows, weekends, weekdays, all wide open. June, a peak month for West End theater, sat frozen in silence for Evita, as if the production didn't even exist. This wasn't a dip in demand. This was a full-on collapse. For the London Palladium, a venue synonymous with theatrical greatness, the optics were humiliating. This is the same stage that's hosted Judy Garland, Elton John, and countless sellout blockbusters. Empty seats here aren't just a financial issue. They're a signal of failure that echoes through the entire industry. When a show flops at the Palladium, people notice. Executives panic. Reputations crack. And for Rachel Zegler, the face of this production, the silence in those seats was louder than any critic's review. In an industry built on perception, the ticket chart became a smoking gun. There was no spinning it, no blaming bad weather, no claiming a technical glitch. The audience simply wasn't coming. And with each passing day, the image of Zegler as a bankable breakout star began to unravel, seat by seat, row by row. The marketing machine was in full swing. Posters plastered across London featured Rachel Zegler front and center, her face lit with drama and determination, framed by bold text announcing Evita at the London Palladium. Promotional materials touted her Golden Globe win, her breakout role in West Side Story, her headline part in the Hunger Games, the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, and her upcoming debut as Disney's Snow White. The campaign didn't just promote the show, it built a narrative. Zegler wasn't just performing in Evita. She was the event, the next big name, the future of musical theater, the kind of star who could pack a theater on name alone. But ticket buyers weren't buying it, literally. While London's theater district buzzed with packed houses and limited availability, Evita stood eerily still. Other productions, even those at much smaller venues, were flying off the shelves. John Lithgow's show, playing at a far less central theater, had limited seats remaining and a growing waitlist. But at the Palladium, Evita was a ghost town. Verified screenshots from the venue's website showed something almost never seen at this level. Every seat, in every section, for every show, still up for grabs. People expected Zegler to carry the show. That was the bet. That's why her name was splashed across every billboard. But as the weeks passed and the numbers didn't move, that gamble started to look more like a miscalculation.
And then it became like, I will elbow everyone out of the way to play the part.
This wasn't just a slow start or an off week. This was a total implosion. In a city where theater fans line up for hours and shows routinely sell out months in advance, seeing an entire run with zero traction at the Palladium is almost unheard of. And it wasn't just any role. Eva Peron is one of the most iconic, emotionally charged characters in musical history. The kind of part that draws audiences based on name alone. The kind of performance that sells out before rehearsals even begin. For Evita to be this empty, this close to curtain, wasn't just rare. It was a blaring siren that something had gone terribly wrong. Critics weren't pulling any punches. As the curtain remained down and tickets sat untouched, theater insiders and entertainment journalists began sounding the alarm. Industry trackers monitored the sales in real time, and the data didn't lie. Verified screenshots from the official seating charts flooded social media, each one more damning than the last. An endless sea of green, stretching from the front row to the balcony, from box seats to back corners. The message was unmistakable. Evita wasn't just underperforming, it was in freefall. With zero demand and no visible improvement, conversations quietly began to shift. Could this show face an early closure? Would the producers pull the plug before opening night to save face? In the world of live theater, where every unsold seat equals lost revenue, that kind of decision isn't unheard of. And for a production at the Palladium, it would be a humiliating, headline-making failure. But the fallout didn't stop at the box office. What happened next hit Rachel Zegler's image even harder. Her journey to the stage hadn't followed the traditional route. Unlike seasoned theater performers who earned their stripes in regional productions or smaller venues, Zegler had been catapulted straight into the heart of Hollywood. Big studios pushed her into blockbuster leads before she'd even had a chance to build a grassroots fan base. She wasn't given time to connect with audiences gradually. She was expected to dazzle from day one. And when films like The Hunger Games prequel and Snow White underperformed or sparked controversy, that pressure didn't fall on the directors or studios. It landed on her. Now, in London, stripped of Hollywood's protective layers, no CGI, no reshoots, no carefully edited press tours, Zegler stood alone under the spotlight, just her voice, her presence, and the role of Eva Peron. But instead of roaring applause, she faced something far worse: silence. A theater so empty it echoed, a crowd that never came. The raw, unforgiving truth of live performance was suddenly impossible to hide. Without the glitz, the hype, or the studio safety net, the spotlight exposed everything. And what it revealed was a young actress pushed too far, too fast, into a spotlight she may not have been ready for. She wasn't bringing the audience, she wasn't selling tickets. And in the world of live theater, that reality hits like a freight train. There's no hiding behind opening weekend projections, no buffering bad reviews with global streaming numbers, no carefully worded PR statements to soften the blow. In a theater seat, you're either there or you're not. And when the curtains rise on an empty house, there's no sugarcoating what that means. It means failure. The kind of failure that stares you down in person night after night. For Rachel Zegler and the team behind Evita, the numbers weren't just disappointing, they were devastating. Every day the seating chart stayed green was another nail in the coffin. The Palladium is one of the most iconic venues in the world. It doesn't just host shows, it hosts events. It's where sold-out crowds and standing ovations are the norm, not the exception. And yet here was a brand new production, headlined by a Golden Globe-winning actress with major studio backing, collapsing before it even opened. No viral marketing campaign could spin it. No agent could bury it in headlines. This wasn't a rumor. It wasn't an opinion. It was fact. Measurable, undeniable, public. Theater doesn't lie. It doesn't care about your resume or your potential. It only responds to one thing: audience demand. And for this show, for this actress, the demand was non-existent. Fans of Evita came in expecting magic. This is a show built on soaring ballads, emotional grit, and a lead role so demanding it's considered a rite of passage for true musical theater royalty. Audiences didn't just want a good performance, they expected a moment, a transformation, a voice that could shake the walls, and a presence that could command an empire. With the grandeur of the London Palladium and the legacy of Eva Peron behind it, Evita was supposed to deliver a spectacle worthy of its reputation. But what they got instead was silence, a void. rows of empty chairs, and a production on the verge of imploding before a single curtain had lifted. As the ticket count stalled and word began to spread, the uncomfortable truth settled in. This show wasn't working, and while nobody in the industry may be saying it out loud, the signs are screaming. The star Hollywood has been propping up. The one they've billed as the face of Gen Z cinema, the next great musical sensation, might not be ready for the weight that's been placed on her shoulders. Rachel Zegler's star power, once hyped with nonstop promotion and media buzz, is now being tested in the most brutal arena possible. The live stage. No filters, no reshoots, no narrative control. Just talent, timing, and ticket sales. And right now, the numbers are exposing a painful truth. The shine might already be wearing off. What happens next could very well determine the entire trajectory of Rachel Zegler's career. Right now, she stands at a professional crossroads, one where the next few weeks may define whether she rises as a true star or slips into the long list of overhyped, under-delivering talents Hollywood tried to force into the spotlight. If Evita continues to flounder, if seats remain unsold and audiences keep their distance, this won't just be a bad review or a forgettable project. It will be a public and irreversible indictment of her drawing power. In an industry obsessed with momentum, one high-profile flop on a prestigious stage like the London Palladium doesn't fade quietly. It lingers. It becomes a reference point in every casting conversation. Every headline, every online debate about whether she was ever ready for the roles she was handed. Theater insiders are already murmuring behind the scenes. Producers are watching closely. Investors, agents, and directors are all taking note. If the numbers don't improve, Evita could become one of the most notorious theatrical failures in recent West End memory, a show with pedigree, prestige, and press that still couldn't fill a room. And that failure won't fall on the ensemble, the crew, or the venue. It will fall squarely on Zegler's shoulders. Fair or not, she is the face of the production. Her name is on the posters, her performances are the product. And if the product isn't selling, the industry takes that as a warning sign. This was supposed to be the project that proved her range, that solidified her transition from screen to stage, and crowned her as a multi-platform powerhouse. Instead, it's becoming a case study in what happens when marketing buzz doesn't match audience demand. If the show closes early, or worse, limps along with mostly empty houses, it will send a brutal message. The next big thing label was handed out too early. And for Zegler, that means facing a future where the offers slow down, the budgets shrink, and the spotlight she once stood in so confidently starts to fade.